Great to see we've got so many attendees joining our room as well. Vatsy, how you doing? Good to see you. I feel like you were all presented with a red pill or a blue pill, and you've made the right choice in coming to this breakout room. And I actually can't remember which pill Neo took, but it was the one that gave us a good movie, so that's what's most important. I wonder if maybe now's the time to throw out our first poll as well. So, everyone, there is a poll which I've just launched, which is what's your experience level with document automation? Do you use it regularly as part of your day job? Something you've tried a few times, perhaps through our fantastic document automation training camp, or are you completely new to it? Now, I should say as well, back in my professional services days when I was delivering intelligent document processing projects and well, for document automation, as we now call it, Alex was like an oracle to me. He would tell me whether it could be done, whether my approach was, let's be honest, a little bit dumb and needed revising. So he was, yeah, just a beacon of enlightenment for me at times when it was exceptionally new technology and potentially scary. So this is going to be a great breakout session. Right. So let me share those results. So that is a pretty comfortable win for I've tried it a few times. Thank you all for that. That gives us a great benchmark. Lovely stuff. So,
Okay, so we have a decent number of people who are completely new. So I will try to stop by and explain some basic things as well, even though there will be technical parts and more like deep dives parts of the presentation as well. So I hope you will not lost in details and we'll got the idea. But at the
and
same
anyone,
time,
feel
I
free
want
to throw in the chat any questions you've got. If Alex is mid-flow, I can try and pick that up as well. So yeah, don't let us carry on and you'd be like, oh, I don't know what that means. Throw it out in the chat. There's probably other people thinking the same, and we'll do our best to answer it.
okay, I think we can start, right?
Let's do it.
So let me share my screen and my presentation. So let me close everything and share my screen. Okay, the first of all, safe harbor slide. It's about during the presentation, I will show some future-looking features and will explain to you our future roadmap. So be aware that that's not kind of our responsibility. So make your business decision based on what we already have and not what we will have. So we want to share that, but at the same time, it's not necessary. It will be implemented in the time frames that we want. So it might be delayed and so on. So please be careful in making that business decision based on the demonstration that I have. Okay. So for those who are completely new, so what document automation is? It's our IDP, or Intelligent Document Processing Solution. What does it mean? It means that that solution can intelligently extract some data from your business documents. So if you ingest some documents like PDF files or something, or images into the system, we can extract the data and send it to your business applications like SAP or ERP systems and so on. Okay, we also can validate the data. So if something is wrong in the extracted values, we can also validate that. Okay, so that's the basic idea of the product. And now I want to focus more on the latest updates that we have released recently in the 36. It's our number of our releases. We have like every quarter we have a release, and in April we have .36. there are a few important updates that we have in document automation. So there will be, I think, the three major pieces. And I will show that during the demo. It's important to know that it's not just like a demo. So it will be kind of a working session, or like hands-on session where I will try to show you the process if you have some challenges during the extraction. For example, you configured your learning instance, you're trying to process data, something is wrong, something doesn't work. What kind of options do you have? So we will go through that process. So it will be iterative process with multiple kind of extraction errors. So don't be afraid of that. That's kind of expected. We will fix them, and we will show you like end-to-end process. Okay. Okay, let's start with the demo. Let's imagine I have this document. So it's an invoice, but I think it doesn't matter what kind of document type we have. I think the most important part is like the requirements, what we want to extract. So we have two tables. So this is one table, this is the second table. There are some challenges here that we will face, and let's try to do this like right now. So this is our place of document automation, the control room. So if you don't know where to find it, if you have a license and if you have right permissions, you will see that here. Then the next step is we need to create a learning instance. So basically configuration of the document that I want to extract. Then we can give a name like multi-table invoice, something like this. Okay, so the first feature that I want to show you is this new option for the OCR provider. So OCR provider is responsible for getting getting the raw text from the documents, like the text layer. So we have multiple options. We have ABI, we have Google Vision, and now that's the new one, digital PDF extractor. So you would use that if you have completely digital PDFs in your use case, in your process. Like if you don't expect some image-based PDFs that like require OCR to get the text layer, you would use this one. So the benefit is it just should work more reliably and faster than regular OCR engines. If we are talking about differences between ABI and Google Vision, so I would choose Google Vision if you have like handwriting and if you have multiple languages inside the document or inside your or within your process. Like if you have documents that are coming like in different languages, some can be like it's common in Europe that you can receive documents from one country or another country. There will be different languages. Even within one country, you might have multiple different languages. So Google Vision can auto-detect that. For ABI, the benefit is it's a completely local engine, so it will be running inside your environment. So in this case, the data will be in your instance, in your environment, and don't go outside. Okay. So it doesn't matter basically. In this demo, I have this document, this image document. So I would use Google Vision. And now the next step is we need to choose what kind of fields we want to extract. I want to focus on tables, so I will turn off some fields that I don't need. So because this is during this selection, I use invoice document type. It's kind of pre-trained learning instance or document type. We have some fields already available and like pre-created, you see, and we can just select some of them. And the same as for table fields. I think these default table fields are good for me. But if you remember, we need to have, we want to extract two tables. So this is the main one. Let's assume this is description, quantity, unit price, and the total amount. Now we have subtotals, right? So let me create a table like subtotals by service. So we have this option to create a new table.
Just going to say, Alex, this document's giving me headaches just looking at it. So I can't wait to see how you solve this.
So we created a new table. I want to extract a couple of columns here, like the service. Let's call it service description. So we give it a name, and the way it will be extracted, I want to use Gen AI for that. So this is our feature available for like almost a year. And the way it works is you just provide the instructions or some questions how to find it. Like in my case, what is the service description? Basically should be enough. And the second one is let's extract this one, like subtotals. And the same, what are the subtotals? Okay, so nothing complicated here. We can create a learning instance. So now this configuration is ready for processing, but this is what was before. Like in .36, you have a new feature now. So you see this toggle, it's called test mode. And when you enable that test mode, we create a special kind of small workflow specifically for this learning instance. I will show you later what does it mean. But it allows you now to process documents in a specific mode. So let me upload this document. And as you can see, the difference is that I don't need to specify the output folder. And this is on purpose. So when we process this document, we actually send it to a specific a workflow, a new one that we create for this learning instance. So let me show this. So this is more like technical stuff. So if you are not familiar, just don't don't get lost in this. So this
A
is
lot of love
our
being shown for test mode, Alex. Everyone's pretty excited for this.
That's nice. So this is our default workflow that we have that we create automatically. But this is a new folder we create, which is specifically for test mode. And the if we open that workflow, is you see it's kind of a small copy. It also has the basic steps like extraction, validation, and actually there is no other options. So it will always be extraction, validation, and this is on purpose. So if during the testing, usually you have this iterative approach. When you make some changes in the learning instance, you want to reprocess and see the impact. Okay. And that's the goal. So you cannot like submit the document, it will be reprocessed. And I will show you during the demo. So we will have we will see this kind of process because what's the problem with this document? So this second table doesn't have headers. So basically from the regular IDP perspective, I don't know what is the service description or what is the subtotal because no headers are involved. So how the system will understand that this is subtotal and this is the service description? It's not obvious actually. It's not easy to extract like out of the box, and we will see that. So let's wait when it's finished. So we can also go to, we have a new button of view status, so you will see all the uploads in the test mode, and we can open here and wait here. So let's check the questions that we have in the chat while it's running.
Yeah, good shout. So we had a very good question which I answered in the chat, but I appreciate some people can't access the chat, so I'll call these out. And any questions you do have, which if you can't use the chat, drop me an email after or Lou, and we'll get to them. I had a very good question, which was, is there any way to flatten docs before you upload to the learning instance? So my answer to that was, we cover this actually in Document Automation Masterclass. We have a video on pre-processing, and that is the place to make sure that you're considering things like flattening, but also you're thinking about other things such as grayscale or managing the quality or depth of your document. So doing that before you feed it into the learning instance is it's definitely worthwhile. There was another one around using this in the community, and I should have called out at the start, or the community edition of the control room. Alex is in the enterprise version. If you want to have any more than invoices and it might be purchase orders, you'll need the enterprise version. Alex,
Yeah,
we did have sorry, after you.
Yeah, for community edition, we do have plans to give Gen AI option as well. Right now, because it like cost us additionally, so we incur additional costs when we use Gen AI. It's so we're hesitant to expose that to community edition to everyone, but we will do that eventually. I think the plan is to do that in .38, which is kind of September, October timeframe. So
We did have a great
you will
question
see
from
that.
Radek as well. How does language auto detection work with Google Vision? Does it ignore the selected language in the learning instance?
Basically, it doesn't ignore, I think, well, in some case, I mean, it might ignore, but it doesn't use that as the primary, instruction for detecting the language. So if it sees multiple languages, it just extract them right away. So basically, it doesn't matter what language you have selected there, it will be able to extract anyway. So you can say it's ignored, yeah. But your language is important when you do the normalization. So if you have some, so we have some features to normalize the data, especially for numbers. Your language also impact the locale, and that locale is important to normalize the data. Like we need to know, based on the locale, we need to know what kind of decimals you use in that country. And I think for dates as well, we need to know what kind of the month names you have in that country. So it's maybe not important for OCR, but it's important for learning instance to choose the right language.
And that was it so far, question-wise.
Yeah, so one question, field label shouldn't be equal. Yeah, field label is basically impact what you will see in this validation UI. So if you want to rename the field, you can rename the label, but it has nothing to do with the labels in the document. Okay, so like in my case, when we created this table, I use service description subtotals, but there are no headers here, you see. But when I created this service description and subtotal, we can see that in the table itself. You see service description and subtotals. So this is how the labels, what's the purpose of labels. And if you want to rename, you can easily rename the label. You cannot rename field names because we have a lot of dependencies on field names. Like all your validation rules will depend on the field name. So if you change that, we don't want to break everything. All your post-processing depend on your field names. So if you want just rename for like, validator users, so it's more user-friendly for them, so they understand the field better, you can do that easily and don't break all your like underground work or your background stuff that relies on field names. Okay.
We've got a question coming from Surya as well, which I think is particularly good. With the advancements in LLMs that can also do document extraction, how is automation, anyways, document automation different?
And that's a good question. We use Gen AI in the background. The problem is with regular LLMs, they are not specifically designed for this kind of process. And if you basically want to make a solution that can extract data in kind of different use cases, it's a challenge because we face this like every day. We're using Gen AI in the background. Like if you have like one example and you can play with the different prompts, it's kind of, I think it's feasible. You will have challenges with tables similar to this one. You will have challenges with multi-page tables, like if it's span across multiple pages. So it's not easy as it looks like. It's really easy for these header fields like PO number, all of that stuff. It's not an issue anymore. Like you can just ask that. But if you have slightly more complicated use case, like multiple tables or spanning tables, no headers, something like this, it will be a challenge. And again, the purpose of document automation is not just to call Gen AI, right? So there are a lot of around that. So this configuration management that you create a learning instance fields, you store them, you have the history of changes, you have a user's validation UI. So you don't have validation UI in the like ChatGPT or something, right? So it's not something you can show to your business users. While this UI where you can compare the outputs with the extracted values is really valuable when something is missing. From ChatGPT, you don't know, or from other LLMs, like you don't know if something is wrong. In our case, you can set some guardrails. You can define the validation rules and control the extracted values. Like here, the description is empty. Why is it empty? Because the name is services. We are searching for descriptions. Well, it's just a different name. So it's difficult to understand for the system that this is what we want to extract. And our second table is completely empty because, as I described, it's difficult to understand that this column is service description and this is subtotals. So what can we do here? Well, let's go back to configuration and use our another feature which is new in .36. We can use some tags and this is the tag that we added in January, and this is a new tag. So we have two tags. So what does it mean? The Gen AI Vision tag enables the vision component of LLMs, or basically VLM. What does it mean? It means that now, instead of just relying on the text from the document, we can also send a picture to VLM for extraction. And the vision component helps sometimes to understand the structure of the table. So this tag is not specific to tables, but it's, I think, really usable for complex tables. You can use this tag also for another use case, which is signature detection. To detect the signature, you need to look at the picture because signature is not represented in the text layer, right? OCR cannot recognize signature. So you need to send the picture to detect the signature. And you can use this flag for form fields as well, not specifically for tables. But in this demo, we are focusing on tables, so we will use for tables. And this is another tag. This is new one, advanced extraction. the purpose of this tag, so if we take a look at the document, so this table is basically a simple, clear table with the headers, so no issues here. But this table is not necessarily can be detected as a table, because it might be detected as like a key value pairs or something like this, because there are no headers. Okay, it's like headerless table, and the way it works by default, we detect the tables using our own model, and then use those tables and send them to LLM for analysis. But in this case, this table was not detected as a table. It doesn't look like a table for us, for the model. And that's why it didn't even go to LLM. Okay, so this tag, this tag says, okay, even though we couldn't detect the table, VLM, can you take a look at that picture and see if you can find a table? Okay, so it's not always helpful though. Sometimes if you have regular tables, you may skip this. I mean, our table detection can work. But if something like if you see the table is not like completely defined, or there are no headers, then this tag is necessary, okay? So, and another feature I wanted to focus on is table settings. So we didn't have that before. This is new for .36. So you can add some table prompts and tags that are table specific. So these tags are they'll will impact the entire table. You can add it here. For example, for the second table, we can ask like extract. What do we have? Extract data from subtotal by service table. And we can also add those tags here. Okay, so this prompt basically defines what kind of table you want to extract. If you have multiple different tables, so there are use cases where there are multiple tables and you need to extract specific one. And that specific table has a kind of a title, okay? Like this, subtotals by services. So you would use this table prompt. So it helps to identify specific table within the document. Okay. So now we have updated the, so let me save it. We have updated the configuration. And we can go back to the document and choose the latest version now. And you see this document was not processed by this version, and we can reprocess that. So we can, so while it's processing, Oli, we do have another poll, right?
That we do.
So yeah,
Let
while
me
we're
bring that
waiting,
up.
let's take a look at, let's try to run that poll.
So
it's, yeah.
This is, I think, a pertinent one, particularly around generative AI. Hey, Alex.
Yeah. So it's about the Gen AI technologies. You know, we want to understand what's your company's stance on using that, because you know some companies really hesitant to do that. Some of them are really, you know, on the edge and using that all the way. So we want to understand what's your company position on that. So it can be already approved, or in some cases you need to pass that internal security review. And if so, we can help with that. So we do have documentation, we do have like architecture diagrams, we have certificates like SOC 2 in the cloud. We also can connect to your own account, LLM accounts if you have them. So we do have some tools to pass that review and be compliant with your regulations. So don't hesitate to approach to us if you need this. But some companies are completely like closed and do not allow to do that. Okay. Yeah, so a lot of companies that have internal review and compliance approval, yes. So again, if you see that some challenges and problems to use Gen AI in document automation, please reach out to us with the, like maybe security requirements that we can help to pass. So we had this experience with a lot of customers. We have already did that. So done that. So
Also, what a remarkable difference this is compared to, say, last year. I mean, if I think we're at it's 31 out of 35, so pretty solid. Almost 90% of people in here are saying actually, yeah, it's not a no. Whereas I know when I was working with customers last year, there were specific councils or even blocks set up for all things generative AI. So this is very good to see and a sign of the times.
yeah, and actually, I think companies understand because you get so much from those technologies. It's like your competitive advantage. So the longer you wait, like the farther you behind those companies that already started to use that. So I think that's important to be proactive and actually do something like define the regulations, what you can do, then rather than completely, block that. Okay. So I want to talk about test mode a little bit more. So this is a new mode, and you can see some new like features here. So when we open the document in the test mode, you would notice that we have different versions here. So these are all the versions that we have created so far in the learning instance. And you can go to, and if you remember, we had like version 2 extraction, and you can compare the extraction. So it didn't recognize that previously. Now we switch to a new version, and you can compare. Okay, now we have data extracted. So that helps you to track the changes and see the impact of those changes. Also, we have some information about the learning instance, so you don't need to go back and see what kind of OCR engine I used, or what kind of Gen AI provider I use. So it's already here, right? Also, yeah, for the second table, what we wanted to check that the description was able. So we were able to identify that these services actually description. So how did we do that? So we use those advanced tags. Now we use the Gen AI more actively, and it can understand that these are the description. We can treat that as a description. And for the second table, now we can we're able to extract the service description and subtotals. And remember, I didn't provide any training so far. I mean, I didn't upload the documents. I didn't label them like it's a traditional IDP products. I just added specific tags that are like more advanced, and that's it. And it's not layout specific, right? So if I upload different invoice with a different structure, but it should have this kind of table, subtotals by service, it should be able to find it, even though the layout will be different, okay? So this, because it's not like a location-driven training, it will work in different situations. So what else do we have here? We have the cluster ID that might be important for your feedback. When you provide feedback, validation feedback. So what does it mean? Actually, I think I can show you here. Like my invoice date was extracted as PO date, which is wrong. So what I can do, I can go here and say that invoice date actually is in this location. okay? And I can submit it and reprocess. So what does it mean, submit and reprocess it? When you submit the document, we take that feedback that I have provided. I mean, by feedback, I mean new location, and use it next time when we see the same layout, not the same document, the same layout, or in other words, in technical words, the same cluster ID, then we will apply this feedback or knowledge from that feedback and extract the field from a new location, okay? So when you do the testing and you provide feedback, in some cases you see the feedback doesn't work. Like it might be the case that your document, the second document, has a different cluster ID. So feedback from one cluster ID won't be applied to another cluster. So that's why it doesn't work. It might be the opposite situation that we created different clusters, but the layout is, well, that might be the case, different clusters for similar layouts. So let's take a look. You see the invoice date now in the right place. So that's how feedback works. And also another feature is version history. So you can see that we track all the changes we have in the learning instance. Like we enabled the test mode first, then we added some tags. Now we provided feedback, and all those is tracked here. If you do some changes, we create a new version. Again, it's only test mode. So when you do that in production, it's not tracked, okay? I mean, outside the test mode. Also, you can, if you don't like your changes, you can roll back or restore the previous one that worked better. And how do I know if it worked better? You can compare. You can open the previous one and see, okay, my invoice date was recognized as PO date, like from the wrong place, but now it's recognized correctly. So I think this is a good version, it's better version. Okay. So we have, I think, 5 minutes left. So let's check the questions, and then I have something to show you, like our roadmap and new features that we will have pretty soon until the end of the year, I would say.
I'll pick a couple of ones, and then any ones that we don't get to answer live, I'll respond after the call. So one from Razvan: can we connect to a local LLM for generative AI?
So we can connect to specific LLMs because when we send request, we have to know what kind of like request schema we need to send and how to parse the response. If you have own LLMs, and they follow the same APIs, I mean, they have the same APIs like as OpenAI or Anthropic, which we support, then it should work. You can provide your own connection to document automation. We will use your connection. But if it's completely different, we don't know how to communicate with your LLMs, right? I mean, because it has different endpoints, different request schemas, and different responses. We don't know how to communicate with them. So the only option is to create like a custom package that will implement those requests and connect that custom package to document automation. But it's more like technical thing. It's like you need to be a developer to do that. So it's not so easy.
And then a question from Mike for feedback: is feedback only available during testing, or is there an option for users to provide ongoing feedback after moving to production?
You can use feedback anytime. It defines here. So you see this checkbox. Using improve accuracy using validation actually is available everywhere. But if you don't want to impact your production, when you configured everything, you can log feedback. You say, okay, I tested that, it works perfectly, don't change anything in production. You log the feedback and give it to your business users now. Okay, so there are two options. You can log it if it works well. If you didn't do that and you have multiple different layouts coming, you don't want to train them all and rely on just feedback provided during like production validation, you can also do that.
Super. Thank you.
So, okay, we have a few minutes left. Let me go through quickly the few slides about future things. So one of the important things that we are working on right now, it's cloud extraction service. I don't know if it's too small, I think, but there will be a new task type. Instead of just task bot that we have for extraction, it will be document extraction task type, and it will have two options. Either you can use regular task bot like we use right now, or it will be cloud extraction. So basically, we will send data to our cloud service for extraction and give you results. So it should work much faster than it works on the bot runner machine, because usually bot runners are not so powerful. No, I mean, that's why it's kind of slow when we do the extraction. And it's difficult for customers that have high volumes. You need a lot of bot runners to handle that. And to resolve this issue, you can just send it to the cloud, and we will use more powerful hardware for extraction, and we'll do that quicker. And you don't need to care about bot runners. Okay. The next one is adaptive layout specific GenAI prompts. So right now, all those prompts that I have provided are on the learning instance level, right? So the problem is that sometimes you need to provide the specific GenAI for that layout, because that layout has some specifics that cannot be generalized. So currently, if you want to improve the extraction, you need to change your prompt, like a search query. And sometimes it's not possible to provide like a generic prompt that will work for like all the possible layouts that you have. And you need to provide specific ones. So this is what we want to support, like adaptive layout specific. Depending on the layout, we will choose, you can provide specific prompts. Like for this layout, use this prompt, but in general, for the entire learning instance, use the learning instance prompt. Okay, makes sense? Then in continuation of this test mode, like right now, when I upload the documents, I can test them one by one. Sometimes if you have a big testing set, like if you have 50 documents, it's not so convenient to do that. So what if you have this batch of documents for testing? And then when I like process them, I want to see what's my accuracy and STP rates on that testing batch. How would we know that? Because when you testing that, you provide your truth data. You have to provide truth data, or basically label them, not for training purposes, but for actually understanding what's your real accuracy output. So what's your output results compared to your truth data. And then we can show, okay, this is like have 88% accuracy, like, and tables perfect but something wrong with fields. And you can go and see, okay, the total looks like the problem with the total, and you can go back and uptrain that for total specifically. So it will help you to improve the results for the entire testing set. Okay. And I think the last one is the native checkbox and checkbox group support. Right now, we do support checkboxes through the standard forms models, but we don't have native checkbox support, and this is what we want to do. And not just checkboxes, but also groups. Like, for example, the group, it means that like the purpose of loan, and it might have multiple options, right? So it's like purchase, refinance, whatever. And you can say, okay, you're allowed to have multiple selection or just one selection only. And the way it works in the UI, you will have like a drop-down list. If it's the purpose of loan that allows multiple selection, you can select multiple of them. If it's something that allows just single selection, you can it's a regular drop-down list when you select one option. So this is still in progress and will be available towards the end of the year.
Very
Uh,
exciting.
yeah, I think, I think we have another the last poll, right, about these things. So I just described all these 4 features, and we would like to know what's like you're most excited about. What kind of feature you are waiting for, or maybe if you waiting for something else, please send it to the chat.
I personally am excited for the native checkboxes. I think that is something that I've seen commonly in a lot of forms, and whilst we could do it with standard forms, it's a little bit fiddly. So I think this is awesome. And I know that I'm the only one that's given this a vote, although I couldn't cast it in this, but checkboxes get mine.
Nice. Okay, so it's kind of evenly distributed, so that's good because we work on all of them. So it's not something that we will drop. So
Mhm.
that's good. I think that concludes the demo. And Ollie, do you have you want to invite people to the masterclass, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So actually I wanted to I say one last poll. Gosh, we're addicted to polls in this breakout session. We had a document automation training camp, which then is now our masterclass in the university last year. We're thinking of doing a reboot, but we wanted to gauge from everyone whether you would like to see that on our roadmap for 2025. So give it a yay, give it an A, and we'll take your feedback on board. Well, I think you've all dictated what what my personal professional roadmap will be looking like for this year, because it's an astounding yes for another document automation training camp. And let's be fair, Alex and team are adding so many new features to the product that it would be rude not to. Okay, hear you loud and clear. Thank you, community.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, super. There's some questions that we'll get to after. Alex, big thank you to you. Great presentation. Super excited. Can't wait to try this out myself.
So what's our plan for these questions that we couldn't answer live? So we will send it offline.
Yeah, we'll take a note of them and we'll post them up. I'm not sure whether not sure whether Zoom allows us to answer, but we'll take a list of them and post them after, and we'll answer them and hand them over to Lou to post. So some good ones.
Great.
Great
Okay.
stuff. Thank you, everyone. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.